Alrighty, this is Friday, Christmas Eve day, and you will probably see this Monday or Tuesday, but this is that shiny, beautiful knife out of the tempering oven after being heat treated and tempered. So now I got to go back to square one, polishing and cleaning up, and then I'm going to epoxy my handle, my guard, and my mosaic pin. By the way, that's a mosaic pin. And then I just wanted to tell you what I've learned already. I'm becoming a little more confident in this hidden tang, making hidden tang. I'm going to make another one right away. Here's what I've learned, and now I understand why other knife makers taper this. They taper it from wide down to thinner, and same in this direction. From you would start at this normal thickness and then taper it slightly as it goes down, and that way it's easier to fit the guard without having any wobble or slop. And the last, quarter inch or so, you make a what would you call it, a die, I guess, to hammer the brass down onto that. And that way it's a, super tight fit. I've also learned something else, that I should radius my corners here and not make them square, because this does make it a weak point with a square. Maybe that's real important. Maybe it's not very important, but from now on I will radius them a little bit. What I'll do is I'll drill a hole and then cut into that drill hole on both sides, and that will give me a nice radius. So that's what I've learned. Taper this in both directions, this way and that way. And I'm already planning for my next knife. My next knife, I've got some 1/8 inch brass in, and my next knife is going to be using this red Chechen burl. God, isn't that beautiful wood? I'm going to have a red liner here, and then my brass finger guard on the other side. So basically it would be the brass and then red liner and then this. I also thought about maybe using a couple layers of this brass with red in between each layer, and then using my 1/8 inch guard. I think I can do it. And it doesn't stop there. I have ordered a $70 piece of presentation grade desert ironwood burl. And that is going to be my third hidden tang knife, and it's going to be the wing dang doodle of hidden tang knives, because I think by that time I will have ironed out most of the, I'm going to say imperfections, but by that I mean I will have refined my process a little bit. So I kind of suspect that I will be including these hidden tang knives in the knives that I make. That's what I make. These, I don't even have sheaths for them. Honestly, I'm not interested in making any of them lower knives anymore, because I've gotten good at making these knives on the upper tier there, the upper row. And I have to narrow my options down so I can get better at the ones that I want to make more often. You know what I mean? I think having that many different styles, I've got too many irons in the fire, and if I narrow down the selection that I make, I can get better quicker at that number of styles. So that's what I'm saying. And I'm gonna go ahead right now, before I put this all together, I'm gonna cut me out a pattern for a sheath. It's gonna be a 3-piece. Basically, it's gonna be a bottom, and then the webbing, and then a top piece. And yeah. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm gonna clean this up, get it together. I may drink a cup of coffee. I ate something this morning that was so freaking salty, it's making my heart pound and giving me a headache. And honestly, I'll be so glad when the holidays are over. I can go back on my diet. I can stop eating that super salty food. I mean, I'm not blaming anybody. It's my fault that I'm putting all this food in my face. But when there's no holidays around, there's no extra food and good stuff and snacks and junk and stuff that is absolutely my weakness. And I was doing so good. I'd gotten off my metformin. My sugar was down near 100, 110. And I was feeling really good. And then Thanksgiving came and I jumped right back into being a freaking pig. So as soon as Christmas is over, I'm going to get serious again. I don't think I've gained any weight back, but I know that my sugar has probably gone up just because of the junk I've ate. And I'm not blaming it on anything but myself for having such weakness around food. But the way I've been able to do it is just not let that kind of food be in the house or around me. And my wife, when she does buy snacks, she hides them in her sewing room. That's pretty sad when you got to hide food from your husband because he's got such a weakness for junk. But anyway, that's not about knives, is it? But I'm saying, Guy, I'm so glad when the holidays are done and over with. I've truly grown to honestly hate the holidays. Oh, jeez, this cat, I tell you what, this cat has absolutely no respect for personal space and things in your hands. And I don't know if it's in a cat's psyche just to be totally unconcerned with things, but cats are narcissists, that's for sure. And look at that peaceful, quiet dog laying over there, just happy to be in my midst. And this cat, boy, I tell you what, if I'm not petting her or loving on her or talking to her or playing with her, she's mad. She wants, and I think part of that is probably being here by herself a lot. So, all right, there's another 7 minutes of me flapping my gums. So I just wanted to tell you what my plans were, and I have big plans for my third hidden tang knife. Well, hell, since I talked for 7 minutes, why not another 7 minutes? I'm just sitting here thinking about how funny. Well, I wanted to say how funny liberals and Democrats are, but at this point in my life, I can stand back and see the big picture, and there's really very little difference between liberals and conservatives when they want to win, or they want things to go their way. You know, they're all subject to stooping to some very nefarious, despicable, and dishonest and unethical levels to accomplish their personal goals. And very infrequently do their personal goals benefit you or I, no matter who is in power. So I'm going to use Shreveport, Louisiana as an example because I've lived here or in the vicinity of Shreveport and watched the news and the politics for 42, 43 years of my life. They have a city council that is, to me, it would make a funny sitcom. It is such a freaking clown show. And the corruption runs so deep that they don't even make any efforts to hide it. What they do is if you call out the corruption, they immediately throw the racist card at you. And here's what's happened recently. They were looking for a new police chief to replace the incompetent buffoon that they forced to resign. His name was Crump, was his last name. And I personally know well a cop that knew Crump and was on the force when Crump was the police chief. He was a complete incompetent fool, and the only thing he had ever done previously to becoming chief of police was he was a school cop. That's what all he did from when he first became a cop until suddenly his skin color made him preferential to the police chief's position, because the city council is all a bunch of racists. Not all. Some of them aren't, but enough of them are that they usually get their way. So anyway, Crump was police chief long enough for people to find out that he was a bumbling, incompetent fool, and they forced him to resign, and he did. And they looked for another police chief. Well, this time they gave a police chief civil service exam. I don't know if that was actually worded like that, but they gave the exam to, 7 or 8 potential candidates. And the one that got the lowest score was a black man. And they really wanted him to be the police chief because his skin was black. And Shreveport is, I think it's 60% black. And the city council is like 90% black. And you could see the racism. I mean, it's easy to recognize. And I'm not saying this didn't happen the other way in previous years, but I am saying that you don't fight racism with more racism. So anyway, this guy didn't pass. He got the lowest score. So instead of giving the guy who got the highest score the consideration, his name was Ben. Oh, crap. It'll come to me. First name was Ben. And he was a white guy, and they did not want a white guy as a police chief. And, maybe in their mind it makes sense because Shreveport is a majority black city. And I think if I was a black person, I would want a police chief that represented me. So, maybe it's a good thing that they want to put a black man in there as police chief, but not cheating and lying. So what they do, they go and they revise the test. They make it easy for the black guy to pass. And he still fails. So they have Crump. That's his, no, not Crump, Ben Raymond. Ben Raymond. I think that's his name. So finally, they have no choice. The city of Shreveport, all people, black and white, they recognize this corruption, this deceit that was fixing to take place in order to get the man they wanted in the position of police chief. And they were up in arms, so they had no choice. Now people were really watching what they were doing. And they ended up putting Ben Raymond in as police chief, and they gave him a hard time from day one. Everything he asked for, they wouldn't give. He wanted to give his cops a raise because he was training new cops. They'd go through the training, they'd get hired on the Shreveport Police Department, and they'd stay just long enough to take $50,000 worth of training and 6 months of experience and go to another police department starting off at double what Shreveport paid their cops. So Shreveport could not keep police. They were already operating at 25% fewer cops than they needed or traditionally had. Okay, so they wouldn't let him give his cops a raise. This is the city council. And then along comes this, the woke, virtue signaling, defund police, right? So the city council, they start hollering about defunding police because that was the cool thing, the catchphrase at the time. Everybody wanted to defund the police. So they make it even harder for Ben Raymond to do his job. And now he's working with like 30% fewer cops than he's supposed to have. And of course, in balance with the decline in police, there was an increase, stark, major increase in petty crime and violent crime. So now the city council is mad at Ben Raymond, the white police chief who they didn't want, And they're making it seem like it's his fault that there's an increase in violent crime and petty crime, burglaries and such, and carjackings and drugs, and I mean a huge increase. And so instead of them yelling defund the police, now they're yelling that the police aren't doing their job, and it's because of Ben Raymond. Well, finally Ben Raymond has enough, and he throws in the towel. And who do you think they put in the police chief's position? The stupid guy that couldn't pass a very basic test with even a C, a 65, a barely passing grade. He couldn't even pass the test. Okay, that's just one little issue. So now they got the black guy, and now they're stopping talking about all the crime, which has grown even more because they still don't have cops. Well, a vote comes up, right? A vote comes up, and the city of people are just up in arms, complaining, yelling, screaming about the huge increase in crime. You're not safe anywhere. People are having to carry guns everywhere they go because the violent crime is affecting everybody. So they put it to a vote for the city of Shreveport to increase. It's a 13% increase they were trying to get for the cops in order to not only keep the cops they have, but hire some more cops. And the city of Shreveport voted it down, a 13% increase, the lowest paid cops in Louisiana, and the highest crime rate, one of the highest crime rates in Louisiana. I mean, top 3 or 4 cities that have the highest violent crime rate. And the city of Shreveport voted down a 13% raise for the cops. It would have made, pennies of difference on their property taxes, and they voted it down. So let's just move on from that. Now the city of Shreveport has this garbage problem. They can't pick up their garbage because they're not paying their garbage men enough. Although they're charging exorbitant fees for their water, which includes garbage pickup. But now they can't afford to pay the garbage collectors. They're paying them just barely above minimum wage. So the garbage collectors are going to private haulers where, they're paying $20 an hour, and Shreveport's paying like $10 an hour. So the mayor, he puts it to the city council asking for a raise for the garbage collectors, and they won't give them a raise. It's just insane. I mean, you can watch this city fall apart, and thinking people who are watching all this can see exactly what's happening. And it's the city council fighting the mayor. It's the white city council members fighting the black city council members. It's the black city council members considering a man's race before his ability. And it's just an absolute freaking clown show watching this happen. So now here's another one. This garbage thing, they want people to start recycling glass and plastics. And they have a multi-million-dollar a year contract they want to award somebody, and they have to take bids. Well, they have like 3 guys that own companies that have equipment and experience and run a business, and they all submitted their bids, and there's this one black girl who's never run a business in her life, has no equipment, no experience, no knowledge of the refuse business, waste management, no knowledge of that, no prior knowledge. And they give everybody a test and a questionnaire, and she doesn't fill out part of the questionnaire. One of the questions was, have you ever been convicted of a felony? Well, she didn't answer. Well, they want her, because she's black, to get this multi-million-dollar contract, even though she has no equipment, no experience. So they revise the questionnaire, and they omit the part asking about previous felonies. And she not only had the highest bid, but she had 0 experience. And one of the questions was, how did this company, her company, which was, some enterprise that didn't exist, how did she plan on getting this citywide? I think it's like 60 or 70,000 people. Maybe I'm wrong. It may be even more than that. How did she plan on picking up all this recycle and taken it to the only recycling plant, which is about an hour away. And she said in her Lexus, she had a Lexus SUV, and that's what she was going to use. I shit you not. This is why it's a clown show, because they're not even making an effort to keep this quiet. So I think you know where this is going. The three white guys who had garbage trucks and people working for them and companies that, they've had years-long experience picking up recycling, they did not get the contract. Who got the contract? The black girl, because she was black woman, because she was that age. Black woman got the contract with her Lexus, multi-million-dollar contract. This is the kind of absolute ridiculousness. And this, I'm only using Shreveport as an example because I see this every day. Now, in Illinois, you had a woman who was a Democrat senator or congresswoman who was riding the defund the police train, right? And she got carjacked the other day. And who were the first people she called? Who do you think? Who do you think she called? Yep, she called the cops. The day before, or a couple days ago, a Pennsylvania politician, also a Democrat, also one of the main people yelling for defund the police. Instead of sending police to a crime, send social workers to find out why they're committing this crime. Well, guess what? She was carjacked at gunpoint. Who did she call? Cops. You can't make this shit up. We are an insane society. And politics has become a sitcom. There's nothing funnier. There's no funnier show on TV than politics. And, if you think I'm lying, just watch a few of the Potato Heads speeches. And the giggling vice president. We are living in idiocracy. That's what we're living, idiocracy. All right, I'm going to go back to sanding. See ya. Oh my God, Becky. I have never gotten a knife this shiny before. Okay, I'm gonna drink my coffee. I'm gonna get my hands good and shaky, and then I'm gonna assemble this. I have to acetone the tang and some parts up here I gotta acetone. And then I'm gonna pack that epoxy down in there. Put it together, squeeze it together with that, put my pin in, let it set overnight. I'm going to clean up the epoxy that squeezes out. I went and got my Q-tips because I hear that's the easiest thing to clean the squeeze out with. I've been using paper towels, and that might be easier. So, all right, let me drink my coffee and get this assembled and epoxied and put together. And I'm really excited. I still have, when I get it dry, I still have some work to do on this side. You can see where I got to do a little bit more sanding in order to get the edge of this level with the edge of that. So it's going to be a little bit of sanding it down and then rebuffing it, but I want it to look as good as I can possibly get it. And I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, let's see. Sunday, I'm going to put my Big Mouth 36-minute of me talking video up. So maybe I'll show you this Tuesday, or maybe I'll just wait till I've got this all sanded up and ready to go and then show you the final thing here. Yeah, I may do that. Okie dokie. Tomorrow, I will come out here and clean this all up. That'll clean up. Clean it up and sand a little bit more and then buff it one last time. And I am liking that. You know, it started off, I was so hesitant to get started on this or to continue with it because you see this little area here, you can see where I got to sand that just a little bit to be flush with the brass. And I'll do that. And if I did this again, what I would do is narrow the end of this down to sort of follow the line of the wood. But this is going to be fine just the way it is. Oh, I can't wait to start working on this because I'm so close to being done with the knife itself. All right, when, I don't know what I'm going to do today. Today is Christmas Eve day. Oh, lordy. I think I will, what you want, sweetie? You want to come down? Come here. Come on. Come on, you can walk down there. You do it all the time. There you go. And you, what am I going to do with you? Have a Merry Christmas, y'all. I'll go ahead and upload this. You'll see this Saturday morning. I got no reason not to. Sunday will be my long 36-minute video. I don't even know what I'm going to title it because it's a little bit of everything in it. And I want to let you know now that I use a very bad word in Sunday's video. And some might find it repulsive. It's one of the worst words you could ever call a woman. Yeah, that word. But I didn't call a woman that. I called men on Facebook forums, like the knife making forums. I'll tell you all about it. In Sunday's video, I will talk about it. And I go there to see ideas, other people's knives and stuff like that. There is occasional good information, but more often than not, there's the type of men I describe by using the C word. And I regret using that word now, but the video is already up. And, you know, I don't know how to bleep it out. Otherwise, I wouldn't, it's not a word. You know, I don't usually cuss terrible in my videos because I have such a wide type of subscriber. And I don't want to offend people. And that is an offensive word. And, you know, I've told you that I was in the Army and then I drove an 18-wheeler. So I have been around all my life people who spoke my language, which was filthy. So I really, you know, I put a lot of effort into keeping my language as clean as possible on my YouTube channel. But sometimes I fail. And it's not because I purposely want to offend anyone. It's just because sometimes my real language slips out. Alrighty, have a good Christmas, y'all. See ya.